Hi, Dr. Steve Lucas here with a Marriage Minute. And today I want to share with you the craziest advice that I've given to just about every single couple that I've married. You know, in over 30 years of pastoral ministry, I've married a lot of people. I have done church weddings and backyard weddings, shotgun weddings, destination weddings, a lot of weddings. And it's been my joy to sit down with each of those couples and talk about how to have a successful marriage. Pulling off a wedding is easy compared to pulling off a marriage. And so I wanted to share this advice with you today. And it sounds a little crazy. You got to try it though. You have to try it. Now, I'm going to give full credit. Decades ago, about over 3 decades ago, when my wife and I were newlyweds, we went to an Intimate Encounters marriage workshop with Dave and Teresa Ferguson. In fact, they have a book by that name, Intimate Encounters. And the Fergusons taught us about the marriage staff meeting. And I know that sounds crazy. In fact, all of you with corporate experience think of a staff meeting as a horrible thing. But a marriage staff meeting is basically an opportunity for husband and wife to come together on a regular basis in a format that is predictable in order to keep the most important things important, to keep them at the surface, to keep the discussion going. It's about communication. And I'll just give you some of the sample things that we include in a marriage staff meeting. You start out talking about what you're learning from God. How is your spiritual life going? Men, take the initiative in the relationship. Be a leader. And now some days you'll get together, and we do this once a week. We would get together and say, well, it's kind of dry right now. I'm not really feeling connected to God. But that honesty is what the spouse needs to hear about. And so it begins with the spiritual. Then we would review our calendars, a time of calendar review, and then we get into finances. Now, whoever is the keeper of the finances, every couple, they tend to have one person that's better at money than the other, and that person usually pays the bills and keeps the books. In our family, that's me. And early on in our marriage, my wife had a lot of anxiety about money because I was not communicating. I was not letting her know how we were doing. How much can we spend on stuff for the house? Are we going to be able to take a vacation this year? And so when we started having our marriage staff meeting, I would prepare reports to let her know. We can talk about how we're doing on our budget. What's our net worth? What are our financial goals? What are we trying to save for? What are we planning for? And it's important just to communicate, to keep that fresh. Then we go into the emotional, the friendship side of our relationship. What are we looking forward to? What kinds of things are you daydreaming about? What are you laughing about these days? And we talk about hobbies, friendships, and interests. And it's just a time of sharing. This is not a time to fight. This is not a time to fix. This is a time to communicate. Now for us, over the years, we had 4 children. And so on a weekly basis, we would talk about one kid. And one kid would get the first week of the month, the second kid would get the second week, and so on. And so we would talk about how our children were doing, what's going on in school, homework issues, our goals for our children, what about any discipline issues. And so we'd rotate through. Now, if you don't have any kids, you might talk about other things that are a part of your family, your pets or what have you. Then we'd also talk about our bodies. Do we have any goals for our health, weight loss, weight gain, bulking up, trimming down? We'd also talk about sex. Now, as I mentioned that, immediately red flags are going off. Some people, it's like, well, you're talking about money, you're talking about sex, you're talking about relationships. This is how we end up fighting. Yeah, I understand. And so one of the things about a marriage staff meeting was location. A marriage staff meeting is not a conversation you have in the bedroom. It's not a conversation you have at the kitchen table. It's a conversation you have out at a restaurant or on a walk. That you get out of the house in a neutral location. It takes the edge off, and people don't run away, and people can kind of face it, and everybody's going to keep their voice down, and just in case there is some tension there. So the marriage staff meeting happens once a week. It's an appointment that you treat like any other appointment in your life. It's at a quiet place, a restaurant, a coffee shop, and again, it's not a time for fighting. It's a time for discussing. Now, what that'll look like with you, whether you're a nerd that prints out an itinerary and you have spreadsheets and graph charts for your finances, that's what I did for a number of years. Nowadays, my wife and I, we've been doing this so long, it's part of our daily walk, to be honest. When we go out in the mornings, walk 4 miles together, these conversations are organic. But the important thing is to make sure you have a time in your relationship for regular, meaningful communication. I hope that helps you in the Marriage Minute. God bless you and have a great day.